Welcome to this Microsoft Excel Advanced Formulas Study Guide, Part 3 of 4 from TestMole.com, where employers can test candidates and teams using pre-built or custom assessments. We also create free tests and guides like this. Please help us by liking this video. Subscribe for more study guides and free tests. And turn on notifications. Okay, let's begin. What happens if you try to stack two arrays with a different number of columns? The stack function is designed to combine arrays vertically. When stacking arrays, Excel expects them to have the same number of columns. If the arrays have mismatched widths, Excel attempts to maintain the structure by filling the empty cells in the narrower array with #n/a errors, rather than failing entirely with a hashtag value. Error. The options are: A. Excel returns a hashtag value. Error. B. Excel returns a #n/a error in the missing columns of the narrower array. C. Excel automatically adds zeros. D. It creates a new worksheet. The answer is B. Excel handles mismatched widths by padding the shorter array with #n/a errors to match the width of the widest array. It does not return a hashtag value. Error, nor does it default to 0 or create new worksheets. Which of these functions can be used to convert a 2D grid into a single column? Select all that apply. Reshaping data is a common task in modern Excel. The toCol function is specifically engineered to take a 2D array or range and flatten it into a single column. toCol scans an array row by row or column by column and returns the values as a single column. TextJoin combines text strings from multiple ranges using a delimiter, which is not intended for numeric array reshaping. Flatten. This is not a native Excel function. It is common in Google Sheets. Transpose swaps rows and columns but maintains the 2D structure. Choose between A. toCol, B. TextJoin, C. Flatten legacy, D. Transpose nested in toCol. The answer is A. toCol is the dedicated function for converting 2D arrays into a single column. TextJoin is for text concatenation. Flatten is not an Excel function, and transpose only flips dimensions rather than flattening the data. The isomted function is primarily used inside which other function? The isomted function is a specialized tool used within lambda functions. It checks whether a value was passed to a parameter in a custom function. This is essential for creating flexible, user-defined functions where certain arguments are optional. If the argument is missing, isomted returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. The options are: A. Lookup, B. Lambda to check for optional parameters, C. VLOOKUP, D. IF error. The answer is B. Isomted is designed specifically to detect if an argument was left blank in a lambda function. It is not used for standard lookup functions like lookup or VLOOKUP, nor is it a general error handling function like IF error. The wrapRows function is used too. The wrapRows function is a powerful tool for restructuring data. It takes a single row or column of data, a 1D vector, and breaks it into a 2D array based on a specified number of columns. This is particularly useful for converting long lists of data into a readable grid format. Here are the options. A. Hide rows that are too long. B. Convert a 1D vector into a 2D array by wrapping at a specific count. C. Change the row height automatically. D. Bold all text in a row. The answer is B. wrapRows transforms a 1D list into a 2D grid by wrapping the data at a defined interval. It has no effect on row height, text formatting, or visibility. What is the primary use of the expand function? The expand function allows you to resize an array to a specific number of rows and columns. If the new dimensions are larger than the original array, fills the new cells with the value you specify, or #n/a by default. This is useful for standardizing the size of datasets before performing further operations. Choose between A. To increase the font size of an array. B. To grow an array to specified dimensions and fill new cells with a specific value. C. To open all grouped rows. D. To multiply all values by 10. The answer is B. Expand is used to pad an array to a target size with a custom fill value. It is not related to font size, grouping, or mathematical multiplication. If cell A1 contains the text January, how do you reference cell B5 on the January sheet using indirect? The indirect function allows you to build a cell reference dynamically using a text string. When referencing a different sheet, the syntax requires the sheet name followed by an exclamation point and the cell address. Because indirect expects a single text string, you must concatenate the contents of your reference cell, e.g., A1, with the rest of the address string using the ampersand symbol, operator. The options are A equals indirect A1 and B5. B equals indirect A1 B5. C equals indirect A1 plus B5. D equals indirect A1 B5. The answer is A. The correct answer uses the ampersand to join the cell value January with the string B5. Option B is wrong because it looks for a literal sheet named A1. Option C fails because the plus sign is for arithmetic, not text concatenation. Option D is invalid syntax. In the subtotal function, what is the difference between function underscore number 9 and 109? The subtotal function is designed to perform calculations on filtered lists. The functionum argument determines which operation to perform, e.g., 9 for SUM, 1 for average. 1 to 11 include manually hidden rows in the calculation. 101 to 111 ignore manually hidden rows, though both ranges ignore rows hidden by a filter. Using 109 ensures that if you manually hide a row, its value is excluded from the total, whereas 9 would still include it. Choose between A. 9 includes manually hidden rows. 109 excludes them. B. 109 is for average. 9 is for sum. C. 9 is for pivot tables. 109 is for tables. D. There is no difference. The answer is A. 9 is the standard sum function that counts everything not filtered out, while 109 is the ignore hidden variant. The other options incorrectly describe the function's purpose or suggest there is no difference. What does the array-to-text function do? The array-to-text function is a modern Excel tool used to flatten an array or range into a single string. It is particularly useful for debugging formulas or displaying a list of items within a single cell without needing complex text join or concat logic. By default, it returns a comma-separated string that you can specify a strict format to include curly braces. Choose between A. It converts an array of values into a single comma-separated text string. B. It translates the array into another language. C. It turns text into a table. D. It spells out numbers as words. The answer is A. This function specifically handles array-to-string conversion. It does not perform translation, formatting, or number-to-word conversion, making the other options incorrect. True or false, a variable defined inside a let function can be used in a different cell on the same worksheet. The let function allows you to assign names to calculation results within a single formula. This improves readability and performance by calculating a value once and reusing it multiple times. Crucially, these names are local to that specific formula. They do not exist in the name manager and cannot be referenced by other cells. Possible answers are specific formula? The answer is B. Variables in let are scoped strictly to the formula where they are defined. They are not global variables and cannot be accessed by other cells on the worksheet. How do you perform a 2D row and column lookup using lookup? A two-way lookup involves finding a value based on both a row header and a column header. You can achieve this by using an outers lookup to find the correct column and an inners lookup or match to find the correct row. By nesting the seconds lookup inside the return array argument of the first, Excel dynamically identifies the intersection point of the row and column. Choose between A. By nesting one's lookup inside the return underscore array argument of another's lookup. B. By using the and symbol between two's lookups. C. Lookup cannot do 2D lookups. D. By selecting the entire table as the return underscore array. The answer is A. Nesting allows the return range of the first lookup to be the result of the second lookup, effectively pinpointing the intersection. The other options are either syntactically incorrect or misunderstand the function's capabilities. How do you use the take function to return the last three rows of a dataset? The take function is a dynamic array tool used to extract a specific number of rows or columns from the beginning or end of an array. Syntax equals take, array, rows, columns. Behavior: positive integers return rows from the top or columns from the left, while negative integers return rows from the bottom or columns from the right. Choose between A equals take data 3, B equals take data minus 3, C equals take data last 3, D equals take data 0 minus 3. The answer is B. Using a negative integer like minus 3 tells the function to count from the end of the dataset. Option A returns the first three rows, while option C and D use invalid syntax or incorrect arguments. Which of these functions check the content of a cell? Select all that apply. Excel provides a suite of IS functions designed to evaluate the properties of a cell's contents. These functions return a Boolean true or false based on the data type or state of the reference. IsNumber checks if the value is a number. IsText checks if the value is text. IsFormula checks if the cell contains a formula. These are essential for data validation and cleaning workflows. Choose between A is number, B is text, C is formula, D is colored. The answer is A, B, and C. Is number, is text, and is formula are standard information functions used to verify cell content. Is colored is not a built-in Excel function. Checking cell color typically requires VBA or specialized add-ins. To test a lambda function directly in a cell without using the name manager, you must follow the formula with. A lambda function allows you to create custom, reusable functions without needing VBA. Normally, you assign a lambda to a name in the name manager to use it throughout a workbook. However, you can test the logic immediately in a cell by treating the lambda as an immediately invoked function expression. Here are the options. A. An equals sign. B. Arguments in parentheses, e.g. A1, B1. C. A semicolon. D. The word test. The answer is B. To execute a lambda immediately, you must provide the required input arguments in parentheses directly after the function definition, similar to how you pass arguments to standard Excel functions. The fourth and fifth arguments of offset allow you to specify. The offset function returns a reference to a range that is a specified number of rows and columns from a starting cell or range. Syntax equals offset, reference, rows, calls, height, width. The first three arguments define the starting point and the shift, while the optional fourth and fifth arguments allow you to resize the resulting reference into a multi-cell range. Possible answers are height and width number of rows and columns of the returned range. C. The password for the worksheet. D. The printer settings. The answer is B. The height and width arguments define the dimensions of the final range returned by the function. The other options describe features unrelated to cell referencing or range manipulation. What is the result of equals formula text A1? The formula text function is a documentation and auditing tool. Instead of calculating the result of a formula, it displays the actual formula syntax as a text string. This is particularly useful for creating documentation sheets where you need to display the logic used in other parts of your workbook. Here are the options. A. The calculated result of the formula in A1. B. The formula string itself, e.g., equals sum, B, P, as text. C. An error if A1 contains a number. D. The name of the user who wrote the formula. The answer is B. Formula text is designed specifically to return the formula string as text. It does not perform the calculation, option A, or return metadata about the user, option D. If you want to search for an actual asterisk symbol, in a text string using find or lookup, what must you type in the search criteria? In Excel, the asterisk and question mark are reserved as wildcard characters. An asterisk represents any number of characters, while a question mark represents a single character. Because they have special functions, Excel treats them as wildcards by default in search-based functions like find, search, lookup, and VLOOKUP. To search for the literal character instead of using it as a wildcard, you must use the tilde as an escape character. Placing the tilde immediately before the wildcard tells Excel to treat the following character as plain text. Choose between A. B star, C. \*star, D. asterisk. The answer is B. The tilde acts as an escape character in Excel, forcing the function to interpret the asterisk as a literal symbol. Other options like double asterisks or brackets are not recognized as escape sequences for wildcards. The MPV function calculates the net present value of an investment based on. The MPV net present value function is a cornerstone of capital budgeting. It evaluates the profitability of an investment by calculating the current value of a series of future cash flows adjusted for the time value of money. Discount rate, the required rate of return or cost of capital. Future cash flows, the expected inflows or outflows occurring at regular intervals. By discounting these future amounts back to today's dollars, you can determine if an investment creates value compared to its initial cost. The options are A. A discount rate and a series of future cash flows. B. The current stock market price. C. The total sales of the company. D. The inflation rate only. The answer is A. NPV specifically requires a discount rate and a series of cash flows to determine present value. Market prices, total sales, and inflation rates are external factors that do not define the mathematical inputs of the NPV function. What does IRR stand for in Excel financial formulas? The IRR, internal rate of return, function is used to calculate the annual growth rate an investment is expected to generate. It is the discount rate that makes the net present value (NPV) of all cash flows equal to zero. In financial modeling, IRR is a primary metric for comparing the efficiency of different projects. A higher IRR generally indicates a more desirable investment, provided it exceeds the company's required rate of return, or hurdle rate. Let's review the options. A. Internal rate of return. B. Interest ratio. C. Investment recovery risk. D. Initial revenue record. The answer is A. Internal rate of return is the standard financial term for this metric. The other options use similar sounding business words, but do not represent the actual name of the Excel function. to create a running total column from a spilled array of daily sales. The scan function is part of Excel's modern dynamic array toolkit. It is specifically designed to iterate through an array and apply a calculation, like addition, while keeping track of the intermediate results. How it works: it takes an initial value, an array, and a lambda function. Running total: by using lambda a plus b, scan adds the current value to the accumulated total of previous values, effectively creating a running total column without needing to drag formulas down manually. Choose between A sum, B reduce, C scan, D Biro. The answer is C. Scan is purpose-built to return an array of intermediate values, making it ideal for running totals. Sum is an aggregator that returns a single value, while reduce returns only the final result, and Biro processes rows independently. In financial modeling, choose is often paired with a toggle cell to switch between. The choose function returns a value from a list based on a specific index number. In financial modeling, this is a powerful tool for scenario analysis. By linking the index argument to a toggle cell, e.g., a drop-down menu where 1 equals base, 2 equals best, 3 equals worst, you can force your entire model to update its outputs dynamically. This allows analysts to stress test financial projections against different market conditions without rebuilding the underlying formulas. Choose between A, base, best, and worst case scenarios. B, font styles. C, worksheets and workbooks. D, positive and negative numbers. The answer is A. Choose is the standard tool for switching between defined scenarios based on an index. It is not used for formatting, navigation, or simple sign flipping. If a single cell within a spilled range contains a hashtag value, error, what will a formula referencing the entire spilled range, e.g., sum A1 hashtag return? Dynamic arrays in Excel utilize the spill range feature, where a single formula automatically populates multiple cells. When you reference a spilled range using the range operator, e.g., A1 hashtag, Excel treats the entire range as a single input. Excel follows a strict error propagation rule. If any part of the input range contains an error, the entire calculation is considered invalid. The formula cannot ignore the error to process the valid data, as it lacks the context to decide which data points to exclude. Let's review the options. A, the sum of the valid numbers. B, hashtag value. C, 0. D, an empty cell. The answer is B. Because Excel propagates errors through calculations, the presence of a single hashtag value. Error forces the entire result to return that same error. Other options are incorrect because Excel does not automatically filter out errors or treat them as 0. What is the difference between trim and clean? Data cleaning is essential when importing information from external sources like web pages or legacy databases. Trim specifically targets white space. It removes all leading and trailing spaces and reduces multiple internal spaces to a single space. Clean targets non-printable characters, ASCII codes 0 to 31. These are often invisible control characters that can cause issues with sorting, filtering, or data matching. Choose between A, trim removes extra spaces, clean removes non-printable characters. B, clean removes extra spaces, trim removes numbers. C, they perform the same action. D, trim is for text, clean is for formulas. The answer is A. Trim is strictly for managing white space, while clean is designed to strip out hidden, non-printable characters. The other options confuse these functions with unrelated tasks like number formatting or formula logic. What causes a hashtag spill? Error? The hashtag spill way formula attempts to return multiple results, but the destination range is not completely empty. Excel requires a clear, unobstructed path for the spilled results to populate. If even one cell in the intended range contains existing data, the formula will fail to spill, protecting your existing data from being overwritten. The options are: A. The formula is too long. B. There is data blocking the path of the dynamic array's output cells. C. You are using an old version of Excel. D. The computer is out of memory. The answer is B. The error is a safety mechanism triggered by physical obstructions in the worksheet. It is unrelated to formula length, software version, or system hardware limitations. Which of these are valid comparison operators in Excel? Select all that apply. Excel uses standard comparison operators to evaluate logical conditions. These are fundamental for functions like if, countif, sumif. Operator meaning: not equal to, equals greater than or equal to, equals less than or equal to, greater than, less than, equals equal to. Here are the options: A. B equals. C equals equals. D equals. The answer is A and B. And equals are the standard syntax for not equal to and greater than or equal to. Equals equals is not used in Excel. It is common in programming languages like Python or C, and equals is an invalid syntax order. In text join, can the delimiter be more than one character, e.g. and? The text join function is highly flexible for concatenating strings. Its syntax is text join, delimiter, ignore empty, text1, text2. The delimiter argument is defined as a string, meaning it can be a single character, like a comma, or a multi-character string, like a dash surrounded by spaces, or even a full word. Choose between A. Yes. B. No. The answer is A. The delimiter argument accepts any text string, allowing for complex separators. There is no restriction limiting it to a single character. Thanks for watching. With TestMole.com, you get everything in one place, from easy candidate invites and role-based access, to deep analytics and built-in anti-cheat mechanics. We'll assess code answers, free text responses, and issue verified certificates. Ready to simplify your hiring? Give TestMole a try. And one more thing. If you like this video and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe.